Jake had always been the kind of guy who blended into the background. At 32, he worked a regular job at a marketing company, lived in a small apartment downtown, and spent most weekends watching movies alone or hanging out with his buddy. Mike, nothing exciting ever happened to him, and honestly, he had gotten used to it. That Tuesday evening started like any other. Mike called him up, sounding way too excited about some art gallery opening. "Come on, man, you never go anywhere." Mike said over the phone, "It's just for a few hours. Plus, there's free food and drinks." Jake almost said no. He had plans to order pizza and catch up on his favorite TV show. But something in Mike's voice made him reconsider. Maybe it was time to do something different. For once, the gallery was buzzing with people when they arrived. Jake felt out of place immediately. Everyone looked so sophisticated, talking about art and culture while he stood there in his regular jeans and button-down shirt. He was already planning his escape when he noticed her. She was standing near a colorful painting, tilting her head slightly as she studied it. Her long dark hair caught the gallery lights, and when she turned around, Jake felt his breath catch. She had the most genuine smile he had ever seen. "That painting makes me feel like I'm looking at a sunset through someone else's eyes," she said, noticing him staring. Jake blinked, realizing she was talking to him. "Oh, yeah, it's really something." He moved closer, trying to think of something intelligent to say. "I'm not much of an art person, but this one feels warm." "I guess warm is perfect," she laughed, and the sound made Jake's heart skip. "I'm Lisa, by the way, Jake," he replied, feeling more relaxed already. "So are you like an art expert or something?" Lisa shook her head. "I'm an architect, actually. But I love coming to these things. Art and buildings aren't so different. You know, both are about creating something that makes people feel something." They started walking through the gallery together, and Jake found himself actually enjoying the art for the first time. In his life, Lisa had a way of explaining things that made sense to him. She wasn't showing off or using fancy words. She just shared what she saw and felt. "This one reminds me of my grandmother's kitchen," she said, pointing to a painting of a simple room with morning light streaming through a window. "She used to make the best pancakes every Sunday morning." Jake smiled. "My mom did the same thing. Saturday mornings, though, she'd play old music and dance around the kitchen while cooking." "That sounds wonderful," Lisa said, and Jake could tell she meant it. "Do you still see her often?" "Every few weeks," Jake replied. "She always asks when I'm going to bring a nice girl home to meet her." "And what do you tell her?" Jake felt his cheeks getting warm. "Then I'm still looking for the right person." Lisa's eyes sparkled with something that made Jake's stomach flip. "Well, maybe you just haven't been looking in the right places." They spent the next 2 hours talking about everything and nothing. Jake learned that Lisa had moved to the city 3 years ago for work, that she loved hiking on weekends, and that she had a cat named Whiskers who was afraid of his own shadow. Lisa discovered that Jake played guitar in his spare time, that he made amazing coffee, and that he had once driven across the country just to see the Grand Canyon. "Why the Grand Canyon?" she asked as they stood near the gallery's big windows, looking out at the city lights. "I don't know," Jake said honestly. "I just felt like I needed to see something bigger than my everyday life, you know? Sometimes you need to remind yourself that there's more out there." Lisa nodded slowly. "I get that. I do the same thing with tall buildings. I'll go to the top floor and just look down at everything. It makes my problems seem smaller." "Do you have big problems?" Jake asked gently. "Not big ones," Lisa said with a small smile. "Just the usual stuff. Work stress, wondering if I'm living the right life. That kind of thing." "What about you?" Jake thought about it. "I guess I've been feeling stuck lately. Like I'm watching my life instead of living it." "Maybe you just need the right reason to start living it," Lisa said softly. The way she looked at him when she said it made Jake feel like maybe, just maybe, his ordinary life was about to become extraordinary. When the gallery started closing, neither of them wanted to leave. They stood outside on the sidewalk, the cool night air making them both shiver slightly. "I had a really great time tonight," Lisa said, wrapping her jacket tight around herself. "Me too," Jake replied, not wanting the evening to end. "Maybe we could do this again sometime. I mean, if you want to, we could grab dinner or something." Lisa's face lit up. "I'd love that. How about tomorrow night? I know this little Italian place that makes the best pasta in the city." Jake couldn't believe how easy it was. "Tomorrow sounds perfect." As they exchanged phone numbers, Jake noticed how Lisa's hand briefly touched his arm when she handed back his phone. It was a small gesture, but it sent electricity through him. "See you tomorrow." "Jake," she said, giving him that genuine smile again. "See you tomorrow, Lisa." Walking back to his car, Jake felt like he was floating. For the first time in years, he was excited about tomorrow. He had no idea that this simple evening would change everything about his life. He didn't know that Lisa would become the person who would make him feel more alive than he ever thought possible. All he knew was that something had shifted inside him, and he couldn't wait to see where it would lead. Their first dinner date turned into 3 hours of nonstop conversation. Jake couldn't remember the last time he had talked so much or laughed so hard. Lisa had this way of making him feel like the most interesting person in the room. When she looked at him, really looked at him, it felt like she was seeing something in him that he didn't even know existed. "I can't believe you've never been to that bookstore on 5th Street, Lisa said, twirling her pasta around her fork. "It's like a treasure hunt every time you go in there. I'm more of a coffee shop reader." Jake admitted, "I like the background noise." "That's so interesting," Lisa said, leaning forward. "I need complete silence when I read. Even the sound of my cat walking around distracts me." Jake found himself hanging on every word she said. The way she talked about her work, her dreams, even her silly cat stories, everything about her fascinated him. And the crazy part was, she seemed just as interested in him after that first dinner. They started texting constantly. Jake would wake up to good morning messages from Lisa, and she'd send him photos of buildings she thought he'd find interesting. During his lunch break, his phone would buzz with her voice messages about her day. By the time he got home from work, there would be at least 10 texts waiting for him. "You're glowing," his coworker Dave said one afternoon, looking at Jake's phone screen. "Who's got you smiling like that?" "Just someone I met," Jake said, trying to play it cool. But he couldn't stop grinning. Within 2 weeks, they were seeing each other almost every day. Lisa would stop by his apartment after work with takeout Chinese food. They'd sit on his couch, eating and talking until midnight. Sometimes she'd bring her laptop and work on her building designs, while he played guitar softly in the background. "I love the sound of your guitar," she told him one evening. "It makes me feel calm." "Really? My neighbors probably hate it." "Well, I love it," Lisa said, moving closer to him on the couch. "You should play more often." Jake noticed that Lisa seemed to need a lot of attention, but in a way that made him feel special rather than annoyed. She would call him during her lunch breaks just to hear his voice. She'd change her weekend plans if he was free to hang out. When he mentioned he had to work late one Thursday, she showed up at his office with coffee and sandwiches. "You didn't have to do this," Jake said, though he was secretly thrilled. "I wanted to," Lisa replied simply. "I was thinking about you all day." His friends started to notice the change in him. Mike complained that Jake was never available for their usual Friday night hangouts anymore. "Dude, you're completely wrapped up in this girl," Mike said during one of their rare phone calls. "It's like you've disappeared." "I'm just happy," Jake said. "Isn't that a good thing?" "It's great. Man, just don't lose yourself, you know." But Jake didn't feel like he was losing himself. He felt like he was finding himself. Lisa made him feel confident, interesting, and wanted in a way he had never experienced before. When she looked at him with those bright eyes and told him she missed him, after just a few hours apart, it made his heart race. Lisa started staying over at his place more and more often. She kept a toothbrush in his bathroom and left some of her clothes in his closet. Jake loved waking up next to her, loved the way she made his small apartment feel like home. "I've been thinking," Lisa said one morning as they shared coffee in his kitchen. "Maybe I should give you a key to my place." "To really?" Jake asked, feeling a flutter of excitement and nervousness. I mean, if you want one. I just thought it would be nice if you could come over whenever you wanted. Jake took the key, but he noticed something in Lisa's eyes when she gave it to him. It wasn't just trust or love. It was something deeper, something that looked almost like relief. As the weeks passed, Jake began to realize that Lisa's need for him was different from anything he had experienced before. She would get anxious if he didn't respond to her texts within an hour. She'd call him multiple times if he was out with friends, not in an angry way, but in a way that made him feel like she was lost without him. "I just worry sometimes," she explained one night when he asked about it. "I know it's silly, but I can't help thinking that maybe you'll realize you don't really want to be with me." "That's not going to happen," Jake assured her, pulling her close. "Promise?" Lisa asked, her voice small and vulnerable. "I promise," Jake said, and he meant it, but late at night, when Lisa was sleeping beside him, Jake sometimes wondered if this intensity was normal. He had never been in a relationship where someone needed him so completely. Part of him loved. It made him feel important and valued. But another part of him, a small voice in the back of his mind, wondered if maybe Mike was right. Maybe he was losing himself in trying to be everything Lisa needed still. When Lisa smiled at him in the morning and told him she loved him, all his doubts melted away. This beautiful, amazing woman had chosen him out of everyone else in the world. She craved his attention, his presence, his love. How could that be anything but wonderful? 6 months into their relationship, Jake noticed something that both amazed and worried him. Every single night, without fail, Lisa needed him close to her. Not just wanted, needed. It was like she couldn't end her day without feeling connected to him in some deep way. It started simple enough. Lisa would text him around 9 every evening, asking what he was doing. If he was home, she'd come over. If she was at her place, she'd ask him to come there. At first, Jake thought it was sweet. What guy wouldn't want his girlfriend to miss him that much? "I just sleep better when you're here," Lisa would say, curling up against him on the couch. "The day doesn't feel complete without this." Jake loved those moments. They would talk about everything, their childhood memories, their dreams for the future, silly things that happened at work. Sometimes they'd just hold each other while watching a movie. Other times, they'd stay up until 2 in the morning sharing stories about their past. "Tell me about your first pet," Lisa would say, running her fingers through his hair. "A goldfish named Bubbles," Jake would reply. "I was 8 and convinced he could understand me. I'd tell him all my secrets." "What kind of secrets does an 8-year-old have?" Lisa would laugh. "Mostly about which girls in my class I thought were pretty," Jake would admit, making her laugh even harder. These conversations felt magical to Jake. He had never been with someone who was so genuinely interested in every detail of his life. Lisa remembered everything he told her: the name of his first guitar teacher, his favorite birthday present, the time he got lost at the mall when he was 5. But then Jake started noticing patterns that made him uncomfortable. If he had to work late, Lisa would text him every 30 minutes asking when he'd be done. If he went out with his friends, she'd call him multiple times throughout the night. "I'm not checking up on you," she'd say when he gently asked about it. "I just miss you." "Is that so wrong?" "No, it's not wrong," Jake would assure her. "It's just a lot sometimes." The real issue became clear when Jake had to go on a business trip to another city for 3 days. Lisa was quiet for the entire week leading up to it, and the night before he left, she seemed almost panicked. 3 days is so long," she said, pacing around his apartment while he packed. "What if something happens? What if you decide you like it better there?" "Lisa, it's just a work trip. I'll be back before you know it." "But what if you meet someone else? What if you realize you don't need me as much as I need you?" Jake stopped packing and looked at her. "Where's this coming from?" Lisa sat down on his bed, tears forming in her eyes. "I don't know. I can't imagine going 3 nights without talking to you, without feeling close to you. It makes me feel sick to my stomach." That night, Lisa barely slept. She kept reaching for Jake, as if making sure he was still there. When his alarm went off at 5 in the morning, She was already awake, watching him. "Call me when you land," she said, holding onto his hand a little too tightly. "Of course I will. And text me throughout the day, even if it's just to say hi, Lisa. I promise I'll stay in touch." During the 3-day trip, Jake's phone buzzed constantly. Lisa would send him photos of her breakfast, her work, even her cat sleeping. She'd call him during his lunch breaks and again before bed. By the second day, Jake felt exhausted trying to keep up with her need for constant contact. "How's the trip going?" His coworker Ben asked during a meeting break. "Good, but my girlfriend keeps calling," Jake said, showing Ben his phone with 17 missed calls. 17 calls? Dude, that's not normal. When Jake got home, Lisa was waiting at his apartment with his spare key. She had cleaned his entire place, stocked his fridge, and even bought him new sheets. "I missed you so much," she said, practically. Throwing herself into his arms, "I counted down the hours until you'd be back. I miss you too," Jake said, though he felt overwhelmed by her intensity. That night, Lisa held onto him like he might disappear. She kept touching his face, his arms, his hands, as if she needed to make sure he was really there. "Promise me you won't leave me," she whispered in the dark. "I'm not going anywhere," Jake said. But even as he said it, he felt a small knot of anxiety in his chest. The nightly ritual became more intense after that. Lisa would get anxious if Jake even mentioned being tired or wanting to go to bed early. She'd suggest they stay up and talk, or watch just one more movie, or go for a late-night walk. "I love spending time with you," Jake told her one night when he was practically falling asleep on the couch. "But I'm exhausted. Can we just go to sleep?" "But we haven't talked about your day yet," Lisa said, looking hurt. "I've been waiting all day to hear about your meeting with the new client." Jake realized that Lisa's need for him had become like a hunger that could never be satisfied. Every night, she needed more time, more attention, more connection. And while part of him loved being so important to someone, another part of him was starting to feel trapped. His friends barely saw him anymore. His hobbies were forgotten. His entire life revolved around making sure Lisa felt secure and loved. But no matter how much time and attention he gave her, it never seemed to be enough to calm the worry in her eyes. 1 year into their relationship, Jake felt like he was drowning. He loved Lisa more than he had ever loved anyone, but her constant need for his attention was taking over his entire life. He couldn't remember the last time he had spent an evening alone, read a book, or even called his mom without Lisa sitting right next to him. "I feel like I'm losing myself," Jake confided to his friend Mike during a rare lunch break when Lisa couldn't join them. "Don't get me wrong, I love her, but she needs me for everything." "What do you mean everything?" Mike asked, looking concerned. "She can't make decisions without asking me first. She calls me at work when she's having a bad day. She gets upset if I want to spend time with my family without her. Last week, she cried because I wanted to go to the gym alone." Mike frowned. "That doesn't sound healthy, man. I know, but she's not doing it on purpose. She's just scared, I think, scared that I'll leave her." "But you can't live your whole life trying to prove you won't leave someone." Jake knew Mike was right, but he also knew it wasn't that simple. Lisa wasn't being controlling or mean. She was just terrified of being alone, and somehow, Jake had become the only person who could make her feel safe. The breaking point came on a Saturday night. Jake had been looking forward to a quiet evening at home by himself. He had bought a new book, ordered his favorite pizza, and planned to just relax. But when Lisa called crying because she'd had a fight with her sister, Jake felt that familiar tug of responsibility. "Can you come over?" Lisa asked through tears. "I just need to see you." Jake looked at his book, then at his phone. "Of course, I'll be right there." When he arrived at Lisa's apartment, she was waiting by the door in her pajamas, eyes red from crying. "Thank you for coming," she said, hugging him tightly. "I don't know what I would do without you." They spent the evening talking about her sister, her work stress, and her fears about the future. Jake listened and comforted her, but inside, he felt exhausted. He realized that this had become his life, being Lisa's emotional support system. 24 hours a day. I've been thinking, Jake said carefully as they sat on her couch. Maybe it would be good for both of us to have some space sometimes. Not a lot, just maybe one night a week where we do our own things. Lisa's face went pale. Space? What do you mean space? I mean like, you could have a girls' night with your friends, and I could hang out with Mike or work on my music. It doesn't mean I love you any less. But why would you want to be away from me? Lisa asked, her voice getting higher. Did I do something wrong? No, you didn't do anything wrong. I just think it's healthy for couples to have some independence. Lisa started crying again, but this time it was different. She was sobbing like Jake had told her he was leaving forever. You're getting tired of me, she said between sobs. I knew this would happen. I knew you'd realize I'm too much, Lisa. That's not what I'm saying at all. Yes, it is. You want space because you don't want to be with me, just like everyone else. What do you mean, everyone else? Lisa looked at him with tears streaming down her face. My dad left when I was 8. He said he needed space too. My high school boyfriend broke up with me because I was too clingy. My college roommate moved out because I was too intense. Everyone always leaves me, Jake. Everyone. Jake felt his heart break as he finally understood what was driving Lisa's behavior. She wasn't just scared of being alone. She was terrified of being abandoned again. I'm not going to leave you, Jake said, pulling her into his arms. I promise I'm not going anywhere. But you want space, Lisa whispered. I want us to be healthy together. There's a difference. I don't know how to be healthy, Lisa admitted. I only know how to hold on tight and hope people don't leave. Jake realized that this was bigger than just their relationship. Lisa needed help that he couldn't give her, but he also knew that if he pushed too hard, she might shut down completely. What if we figured it out together? Jake suggested. Maybe we could talk to someone who knows about these things. Like a therapist, Lisa asked, looking scared. Yeah, like a therapist. Not because anything is wrong with you, but because we want to build the best relationship we can. Lisa was quiet for a long time. What if they tell you that you should leave me? They won't, Jake said firmly, because I'm not going to leave you. But I want us both to be happy, and right now, I think we're both scared all the time. Lisa nodded slowly. I am scared. All the time. I'm scared you'll realize you can do better than me, and I'm scared that I'm not enough to make you feel secure, Jake admitted. Maybe we need to learn how to not be so scared. That night, Lisa didn't ask Jake to stay over. Instead, she asked him to hold her for a while and then go home to his own bed. I want to try, she said as he was leaving. I want to try to be better at this. Jake kissed her forehead. We'll figure it out together. But as he drove home, Jake wondered if love was enough to fix something this deep. He loved Lisa completely, but he was starting to realize that sometimes loving someone means helping them face their fears, even if it's scary for both of you. 3 months after their difficult conversation, Jake sat in the waiting room of a therapist's office, holding Lisa's hand. She had been nervous about this appointment for weeks, but she had finally agreed to get help. What if she thinks I'm crazy? Lisa whispered, squeezing Jake's hand. She's not going to think you're crazy. Jake said softly, she's going to help us understand what's going on. The therapist, Dr. Chen, was a kind woman in her 50s who made them both feel comfortable right away. She explained that Lisa's intense need for connection was actually a normal response to childhood trauma and loss when we experience abandonment. As children, our brains learn to be on high alert for signs that people might leave us. Dr. Chen explained, it's not a choice or a character flaw. It's how your mind learned to protect you. But it's hurting our relationship, Lisa said, tears in her eyes. It doesn't have to. Dr. Chen replied, with work, we can help you feel more secure, and Jake can learn how to support you without losing himself. The next few months were hard work for both of them. Lisa went to therapy twice a week, and Jake joined her for couples sessions once a week. They learned about attachment styles, communication skills, and how to set healthy boundaries. I'm starting to understand that when you need space, it doesn't mean you don't love me. Lisa told Jake one evening as they walked through the park. "It means you're taking care of yourself so you can be a better partner. And I'm learning that your need for closeness isn't about not trusting me," Jake replied. "It's about healing from old wounds." Slowly, things began to change. Lisa started spending time with her friends again, something she had stopped doing. When she met Jake, she joined a book club and began taking painting classes on Thursday nights. "I actually had fun without you tonight," she told Jake after her first painting class. Laughing at her own words, "I mean, I miss you, but I also enjoy myself. That's amazing." Jake said, and he meant it. "What did you paint?" "A terrible landscape," Lisa laughed, "but I want to keep trying." Jake also started making changes. He began playing guitar again, something he had almost given up. He started having lunch with his coworkers instead of always calling Lisa. He even planned a weekend trip to visit his parents without feeling guilty about leaving Lisa behind. "I'm proud of you," Lisa said when Jake told her about the trip a few months ago. "I would have cried and begged you not to go. Now I'm excited for you to have that time with your family." "What changed?" Jake asked. "I started believing that you actually want to be with me," Lisa said simply. "Not because you have to, but because you choose to. Every day, you choose me. That makes me feel more secure than any amount of time together ever could." Their nightly ritual evolved too. Instead of Lisa desperately needing Jake's presence every single night, they began to choose their time together more intentionally. Some nights, they would have deep conversations about their dreams and fears. Other nights, they would just enjoy being close while reading or watching movies. "I love our bedtime talks," Lisa said one night as they lay in bed together. "But I also love that we're choosing to have them, not just doing it because I'm scared." "Me too," Jake agreed. "It feels more special when it's a choice." The most important change was that Lisa began to trust herself. She started making decisions without asking Jake's opinion first. She handled conflicts at work on her own. She even went on a short vacation with her sister without needing to call Jake. "Every few hours, I'm becoming someone I actually like," Lisa told Jake one day. "Before, I felt like I was just this scared person who needed constant reassurance. Now I feel like I'm a whole person who happens to love you very much." "You were always a whole person," Jake said. "You just couldn't see it, and you were always patient and kind," Lisa replied, "even when I was being too much." "You were never too much," Jake said firmly. "You were just hurt." 6 months after starting therapy, Jake and Lisa were stronger than ever. They had learned to balance their deep connection with their individual identities. Lisa still craved Jake's presence, but now it came from love and choice rather than fear and desperation. "I used to think that needing someone meant I was weak," Lisa reflected as they sat on Jake's couch, her head on his shoulder. "Now I realize that choosing to need someone and letting them need you back is actually pretty brave." "What do you mean?" Jake asked, playing with her hair. "I mean, I could try to be completely independent and never risk getting hurt again. But then I'd miss out on us, on feeling loved and loving someone completely." Jake smiled. "So, you're saying I'm worth the risk?" "You're worth every risk," Lisa said, looking up at him. "You're worth facing my fears and doing the hard work and becoming a better person." "You know what the crazy part is?" Jake said. "What?" "I used to think I was just this ordinary guy who nobody would ever really need. But being with you, being the person you choose to love and trust, has made me feel like I'm capable of amazing things." "You are capable of amazing things," Lisa said softly. "You saved me, Jake, not by fixing me, but by staying with me while I learned to fix myself. We save each other." Jake corrected Dot as they sat there together. Jake realized that being deeply needed by someone wasn't a burden, it was a gift. And choosing to need someone back, to be vulnerable and open and connected, was the most beautiful thing he had ever experienced. Their love story wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was about two people who chose to grow together, to face their fears together, and to build something beautiful out of their shared courage to love completely.